career strategist and job creator, Sistah Soldier, and you're watching She Vet Inspires, the show where we provide the blueprint for your success. Today, we're going to do things just a little bit differently. I'm going to share with you a little bit about me and why She Vet Inspires was created. I'm often asked, why did I join the Army? Why for so long? Well, I'm the youngest of a 3-sibling, single-parent household. I had an older brother, and he joined the Army and became my hero. By the time I was ready to graduate from high school, there was little or no funds available for me to go to the college of my choice. So I decided to be like my hero. I joined the Army as an administrative specialist, and I moved troops and helped them develop their careers and get their families settled. And that became a part of who I am at the core. I really enjoyed changing the lives and having an effect on the lives of those that I served. Around the 10-year mark, I desired to get out, and I realized that I really was not ready to get out of the Army. So I set up a plan. I knew that somewhere along my life that real estate would be a part of my future. So I decided to become a recruiter. The next thing I knew is that I hit a wall and there was a roadblock. Something unexpected happened and I found myself at Walter Reed, surrounded by many of my peers just like me, wondering what we were going to do. We were experiencing something new. There were many young and senior personnel around, and we were walking along the path of fear. It was an unexplainable place of where we had no idea of what was next. We didn't know if we would be discharged or what it would be like as a civilian because we did not plan for that. How would we fit in? You see, I planned for transitioning as a realtor, but I didn't plan and I didn't have an idea of what it would be like being a civilian. I simply was not ready, as everybody else. We were walking along the path of the unknown fear. And then I thought about it, and I decided that I had a choice. I had to choose whether I was going to lose my sanity or if I was going to walk in faith. I had a choice to decide whether or not I was going to be that which I knew what I was on the inside of my core and my being, and that is being a woman of faith or someone who walked around trying to figure things out on my own, and I had to make a decision. I planned for the 10 years prior to the incident happening. However, I didn't plan to be a civilian as of yet. And so therefore, I was faced with making a choice. I had to decide if I was going to be the person that I knew that I am, or if I was going to fall by the wayside and just allow things to happen and not be in communication. So here I am. I'm not just here because I see a need. I'm here because I have experienced some of the same things that you may be experiencing right now. I see the hurt, I see the pain, and I see the fear and the wonder of what is it like transitioning from a place of where we have been so familiar into the place of the unknown. And you may be having that experience right now. After 21 years of being active duty and discharged outside of my will, I recognize that we needed resources getting out. So I founded the National Resource Society for Women Veterans, an organization that helps women veterans transition into successful careers by guiding them with career choices. And then along the lines of training and providing resumes and opportunity for job interviews, I realized that we still did not understand what it was like venturing into various careers, or what it was like being able to be that civilian. So thus, She That Inspires was created. And I'm here along with those who I interview for my guests to help you to understand that you too can have a smooth transition. It just takes a little time of doing some research and understanding that there are people out there in the civilian sector, such as myself and other organizations, that are willing and want to help you find your bliss. And it's an opportunity for you to be able to really go deep inside, find out who you really are. This is a great opportunity. You have a clearing space ahead of you. And those of us who have done it before, we've taken that chance and we're standing and believing that you will be able to have the opportunities that we have. But it takes a little bit of work. It takes work in realizing that change happens, and sometimes it causes a shift in things that we didn't expect. But it doesn't mean that you can't get over that. It just means that it's a new opportunity. So we're here, the guests and I are here, those that I interview are here so that we can just clear the plane for you. I want to clear the plane so that when you step out, when you make the decision to change your career, you'll have vast information in front of you. You'll have ideas of what it's like. It's like having a virtual coach right in front of you, giving you the answers. You'll have opportunities to write in and ask us questions, or even to be a guest. My deepest desire is to really help you see where you fit in. There's so much opportunity out here. And there are veterans that are transitioning, and they're going to jobs like Google. They're going to jobs like working in the White House. They are working in areas that we can only imagine. The world is your oyster. All you have to do is just make a decision to do something that you have always desired to do. So when you're watching this show, I just suggest and I invite you to get a pen and get a pad and start writing down and jotting down information that's going to help you be successful. Everyone that I interview on this show is really just speaking from their heart. It's like having a virtual coach, and I know you may be challenged. Trust me, I've been there. And I had to grab the bull by the horns, and I had to tell myself that it will be okay. I was not the first, and I will not be the last, just as you won't. So just consider that there are those of us who are paving the way so that you can have a successful transition. And that's all we desire. That is exactly what we desire. So stay tuned for more of what She That Inspires is going to be bringing to your community. Let your other friends and peers know that we're on television. We are really just wanting to just come in your homes and help you understand what it's all about. And with that being said, I'll see you on our next show. Deuces.
To leave the past behind, you gotta be strong and brave. It's gonna take faith. It's gonna take all you're made of.
so I was out there saving the world, helping high school students and helping families get their children off to college. But then what I realized was I wasn't happy. And so I had to take that step back. And can I tell you, the purging was hard. Those crying nights, or those crying, I tell people, those crying showers became more of less of a cry from a hurt to a cry of deliverance, to a cry of happiness.
And I can really relate to what you're saying. And sometimes we don't realize how we get into that space of wanting to take care of everybody else.
Yes.
And we tend to forget about ourselves because we have the children, we have our spouse, some of us, and we have, our job that we are fulfilling the measurements on that.
Absolutely.
And everything that we do may become so much about making sure that this is done. And it's a routine that we get caught up in that we don't even realize that we've forgotten to take care of ourselves.
Absolutely.
And so I believe that it's really it's extremely important that we stop and take the time out for ourselves and make a decision. Sometime I have to do that and make a decision and say, you know what, I think that this particular thing can wait for a little longer, and I can do what I aim to do initially besides getting sidetracked and doing something in addition, and then next thing I know, I'm exhausted.
Absolutely.
So it's really because I believe that there is a story in there that somebody is going to be blessed. You've already blessed me from just our conversation sitting around, and it's just like hilarious.
That's awesome.
However, there are just people at home that are sitting there that are just kind of stuck. They know that they have a talent. They know that they have a God-given gift and callings upon their lives, and they don't know what to do with it. And many people who are as successful as you are not willing to share. And so my goal over this whole show is to expose. How do someone tap into their gift, and how do they follow their passion? How do they acknowledge what God has called them to be? And really, that's what you do. You kind of help them see themselves in a mirror by going inward and being able to see who they are.
Right.
Maybe just with even a conversation. And that's what's amazing to me. For you to be able to change the lives of people and their whole perspective view of themselves is just amazing. So without me even keep going on and on, I want to hear more from you about what you do.
Well, I am E. Cornell, your creative solutions coach, as well as the brainchild behind your aesthetic blueprint. I have been styling hair for probably about 30 years, which kind of tells you that I started when I was 2. But nonetheless, my job is to creatively coach you from a point of immobility to upward mobility. And I focus on upward mobility because I know that you have to be going forward and upward, because eventually the runway runs out. And that's like the difference between a nice ride and a full journey. Life offers you a journey, but it's up to you to take it. And I often say, as organic as life is, it requires a contribution from you.
Yeah.
A lot of times we're sitting around and we're just waiting on God, when indeed God is waiting on us. Let the record show that he's not doing anything else. Everything that is to be done has already been done. And you have to tap into your yellow brick road, Dorothy.
Yeah.
Where you will encounter your tin man and your cowardly lion and the other people that are supposed to attach to you to help you accomplish that you're supposed to accomplish. So, but that's a whole nother story. And I've been blessed to be able to use hair to finance my passion. I've been a stylist, and I've owned 8 very successful salons in the Memphis, Tennessee area and the southern region. And it's been an amazing journey. I've met some amazing people. And in the midst of that, I've met a lot of people who just did not really know who they were created to be versus who they had allowed themselves to become based upon temporary circumstances. In other words, living in that space called circumstances, which is already a very dangerous place to live and reside and memorialize.
You gotta be strong and brave. It's gonna take faith. It's gonna
So welcome back. I am here with Coach Belinda B. Fit Johnson. And we have been having such an enriched conversation, and I'm just like bubbling on the inside because of the knowing of how much this will be beneficial to you, the viewer. Belinda, you mentioned, we kind of ended a little bit at the last segment where you were talking about a relationship that you were in that may have kind of shifted you in this direction, or where were you going with that?
You mentioned earlier that people perish for lack of knowledge where there is no vision. When you don't have a vision, you don't really know where you are in life, or you don't have any direction. So you find yourself settling. And so that's how I found myself in an unhealthy relationship. I didn't know who I was and whose I was. I was trying to look for love in all the wrong places. And
I've been down that road.
Okay. so you can identify with what I'm saying.
Yes, amen.
And that's why it's so important to have a vision for your life, because you can always go back and refer to that vision and say, does this line up with where I'm going, where I want to go? Does it speak to my direction? Does it take me closer to my goal, my vision, or does it take me further away? And being in that relationship caused me to settle. I became a victim. Now, don't get me wrong. It was a decision I made to go into this unhealthy relationship. And being in it, it caused me to be controlled. It was a very controlling relationship. It was very verbally abusive. And it caused me to have low self-esteem about who I was. But in the midst of that mess I found myself in, I identified my purpose.
Yeah.
And that's when I created the vision. I took action immediately. And out of all three things that I'm getting ready to name, the vision, taking action, not just writing it down, but I took action, I grabbed hold of courage. Courage took me far and beyond what I was feeling.
Wow.
Because my feelings I was not committed to.
Yeah.
I was committed to the vision.
take strength. It's gonna take courage to leave the past behind. You gotta be strong and brave. It's gonna take faith. It's gonna take all you're made of to close the door to yesterday. You gotta use your faith. Brave heart. Ooh, yeah. With a heart of fire, God's desire. Brave heart. Ooh, yeah.
Tell me a little bit how much you felt, how important that is to make that decision to have some things in place to transition prior to.
Well, the real conversation that one has to have with themselves is, what's your next move? Because at some point in time you're going to get a DD-214. You know you're going to be separated,
Yeah.
and
Most definitely.
you have to start preparing for that. And one of the things of what I really saw is I would see people around me begin to retire, and you would ask them, "What are you going to do?" "I haven't made up my mind yet." I'm like, didn't you know you're going to retire 20 years ago?
Yeah, really, right?
And so what's your preparation? And for me, what I really found out is that it was something that I was passionate about, and the question becomes, what are you going to pursue? If you spend 20 years in the military, if you're in a retirement situation, or if you're just going to separate, the real conversation is, what are you passionate about? And I'm a firm believer in pursuing your passion, because since I've retired, I've never worked another day in my life since 2004. And some people say, well, what do you mean I've worked in? Because work is work. Passion is passion. And when
Yeah.
you're passionate about something, it's not work at that point.
Yeah.
So I've never worked a day since I retired. And I can say that
Wow.
all day long, because I'm pursuing my passion.
Yeah.
You are one with power. It's gonna take strength. It's gonna take courage to leave the past behind. You gotta be strong
did not get bootstrap and all of these programs that's out there now that will allow you to get out the military and just do school. And so when my commander said, no, you can't do that, I'm like, I'm gonna find a way. And so what I did was I said, I will work for you, the military, at night. And I went to nursing school in the daytime and finished my degree that way.
Wow.
And got commissioned.
How amazing, because there are various programs out there right now
Yes.
that invite others to be able to partake in, you know, and make that transition while they're active duty, because being a nurse is a very, it has a high necessity in the military and even in the civilian sector. So that's not a position that you would take lightly. And so you were actually going to school at night in order to do that on your own. That had to be passion driven.
It was definitely passion driven, and it was also, I saw that as a way for me and my daughters to sustain the lifestyle that I wanted us to sustain. I was going through a tumultuous divorce, and I saw this as a way to maintain the standard of living that I wanted for me and my daughters, and to give us a way out. And it gave us that security that I needed. And so I saw, even in being sleepy and working at night and going to nursing school in the day, I saw it as my only way to make sure I was able to be that single parent and giving everything I could to my daughters.
And provide security.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because that's something that's going to always be needed.
Absolutely.
Always be needed.
It's gonna take strength, it's gonna take courage to leave the past behind. You gotta be strong and brave. It's gonna take faith, it's gonna take all you're made of to close the door to yesterday. You gotta use your faith. It's a brave heart. Ooh, yeah. With a heart of fire, God's desire. Brave heart. Ooh, yeah. You are one with power. It's gonna take strength. It's gonna take courage to leave the past behind. You gotta be strong and brave. It's gonna take faith. It's gonna take all you made of to close the door to yesterday. You gotta use your faith. Ooh, yeah. With a heart of fire, God's desire. Brave heart. Ooh, yeah. You are one with power. It's gonna take strength. It's gonna take courage to leave the past behind. You gotta be strong and brave. It's gonna take